This is Jesus, James, and Mark, and I'm Mark.
And I'm James.
This is episode 74. And a half, sort of. Welcome to the show. It's been a while for us. It may have been a few moments for you. I think we probably say that a lot of times because there are these moments where, again, there's travel. So
yes.
we haven't done a show in a while, but we're glad to have you back aboard. And we are just, again, if this is your first time, please forgive us for being a little rusty because we are we've been stumbling this morning to kind of get the show.
Go back and watch us at our best. If you can find that.
Which is I don't know which episode that is.
Me either.
So just forgive us for being amateur. We are just two ordinary men.
It proves the point.
Right. This is what we say at the beginning of every podcast. We're just two ordinary guys who are Christians, and we're reading the Bible, we're sharing the Bible, we're doing a Bible study, and we're inviting you into that. And we want you to again, if you've not watched any of them and you want to catch up, we're in Revelation right now. And so if you've missed any of the episodes, if it's your first time, you can go back and watch, or on YouTube, or you can catch up by listening on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeart, on Amazon Audible. We are on Facebook, but those videos can be kind of temporary depending on, because Facebook doesn't like to have the videos linger in whatever aspect. But we're glad to have you. However you found us, share the experience. Again, ask us a question and engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question, or if you've got something where you're like, hey, I don't really like what you said there. In fact, here's how I feel. We'd love to hear from you about that too.
And you can send the email to
JesusJamesMark@gmail.com. See how I'm rusty? You have to remind me of that. And
being ordinary like we are, we try to go by one simple verse. 1 Corinthians 2:2, we know nothing but Christ and him crucified. And we're just trying to inspire you to get into the Word and get to know your Creator.
Yep. And picking up where we left off, we usually meet in the mornings before we do this. And you just came off a work trip.
I did.
And usually you're pretty good about travel. Like travel doesn't usually bring you down.
This is a different kind of travel, though.
Well, yeah. So you've been doing some world travel now. So
I've been a ways away, and when you leave one airport and get to the next one the same time you left the first one, you've gone through a time warp, and it kind of sticks with you a while.
Yeah, I've experienced that before, and it's. Hopefully it's not for me. It lasted quite a while. Like I mean, not like a years, but it lasted like quite a few weeks, and it took me a while to get back in my.
I'm hoping a couple of weeks.
Feeling normal.
Yeah, hoping a couple of weeks the fog will lift, and I'll be back to normal. Hopefully so.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, it seems like in the afternoon I just kind of hit a wall to where it's like you should be asleep right now.
Man, that's every afternoon for me. So I must be permanently jet lagged.
Yeah, it stuck with you.
Right. I never got off of the jet lag. Which is also going to be hard for us to, speaking of jet lag, conversation lag is one of the other things that is going to be apparent here because this is one of the reasons why I think I said on the last episode or before because I'm losing myself now because we've had so many breakups. But in all truth, the most important part it's all important. I should even say most important part. A very important part of this, and I think for the focus of us as Christians is up until these Christian letters that because again, at this point, we're gonna start talking about things that are gonna happen. If we go back to the beginning of the study, we said that the book of Revelation was broken up into three parts. It's the things that, or the things that you have seen,
Yep.
the things that are, and the things that are to take place.
Yep.
And so we are at the things that are to take place part. And as you and I were talking about this morning, at what point so the word literal starts to take on a whole different meaning, because when we start talking about scrolls and
seals
and horns,
trumpets,
and bowls and all of these things, there certainly is. There are parts of this that do have, I think, some literal meaning, but a lot of this has a lot of broader. You've got to see this through.
Yes.
He's trying to explain something that was grander than that. Like I said, this is, and as I said, this is where the discussions become really, heavy debate starts to take place.
And
so
we're gonna try not to point at anything specific. We'll just try to expound on what the meaning is of some of this symbolism that we're going to see, and what we feel is actual literal. Like this is actually what's happening here. I think that's where I'm at anyway. I don't know how you want to approach it.
Well, I mean, look.
We can speculate on things, but then that's just all that is speculation.
There's this book is really beautiful, and I think if you can keep focused on him,
yes,
I think that's the biggest part of this whole thing.
Something I feel is important is that this is, like you said, the three sections of this book, and this is the things that are to come. And we're starting this at chapter 6 when the first seal gets broke. And that goes all the way to chapter 19. And there's only 22 chapters in this book. So for the big part of this book, we are getting shown how things will occur in the end until Christ reigns above all. So we've got a big section of reading here that's all about future events that we have to try to expound on.
And again, I'm hoping the biggest goal. here's something that there's so much discussion that we've had already. First off, when you haven't seen your friend for however long, and so it's a long-winded conversation, and then we're talking about this, which I mean, and when you talk about Revelation, it's conversation off of conversation, it's rabbit holes of things, and so, and then, by the way, we have to kind of tease that we have some special episodes that we have planned coming up.
Yes.
That we're really excited about. So I don't know at what point do we talk about those, and I don't want to lose our momentum for Revelation as we head into this. In fact, I kind of want to go ahead and dive into this while we're talking about this. But I think it's interesting because I said I was getting ready to say I hope we at least get to this point in the scripture. That's kind of in my head because I was thinking, again, it's sort of it's a build up to this. But here's what I want to say to everybody just before we start this again. There is we talked about this all the time, this constant trying to hide the truth. This is why reading the Bible is so imperative. Stop looking for anything outside of, underneath of, around of, what somebody said of, and just read the actual Bible.
Right.
And then make your own.
And submit to that. Let that be your guide.
Start there.
I actually said to you this morning, don't try to make the Bible fit your life. Your life needs to move and fit into the Bible. That's the way we should try to flip our way of thinking, because we all want to be comfortable, right? I want it to be easy, and it may not be. There may be some birth pangs to that you have to go through to get to the point where we should all try to be or strive to be.
Well, as I said, there's no reason as I said, there's nothing to hide here, and that's what's this whole amazing part. And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but as I said, I don't know why I'm even saying that, because if you know already.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, it's awesome. But I guess, for the sake of the fact that we're reading this, to also go behind the fourth wall, for all the folks listening or watching, this is like take 2 of the podcast. Yeah. So I tried to throw this grenade into our personal conversation. And so now it does not have the same grenade effect anymore. And so I don't know whether I should even do it or not.
Well, it's still a conversation that we're going to have.
It is.
In the reading of this, because it definitely is. This is the beginning of the tribulation, and we have to decide, or we have to try to discern, where is the church, where are the believers when these things are happening. And I mean, again, you have all sorts of thoughts on that. So not you personally, but I'm saying there are discussions out there about pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib. Oh, yeah. So you got to fall into one of those groups.
I have a great theory on all of that. I actually have the answer.
Okay.
To all 3, and I'm not even going to waste time giving it to you. How about that?
Okay.
I'm not even going to waste time so go get your friends. I'll give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. It doesn't matter if you prepare your heart.
Exactly.
Whenever it happens, if you have to go through the suffering, and that's the part that I think a lot of people want to try to find out with the whole tribulation is, am I going to get spared suffering? And it's like, no. You know what? No. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Like I said, that's what you shouldn't do, because I have another grenade that I didn't even get to throw in this, because a lot of people look at this sometimes and go, I want to get into this Jesus thing because I don't want to die. I want to get in heaven. Well, I have an even deeper question than that is, do you know what heaven is? And are you ready for that? Are you ready to submit to him? Because that's the real question is, because if you want into heaven, then especially, and I know everybody's like, guys, what are you doing? You're supposed to be talking about Revelation 4. This is a glimpse into, let me be all crazy. And look, I'm not saying this. I'm just really saying this for effect more than anything. This vision from the 3rd level of heaven that John gets to see, if you're not ready for that kind of that's what heaven is. It's because I think a lot of people again look at heaven and go, oh man, I just want to get in this thing and I want to, I can't wait to have this. It's like a vacation heaven. It's like, oh man, there's going to be palm trees and daiquiris. And that's not what heaven is.
Right.
I'm not saying that there's not a life after that. And again, I'm not claiming to know all the answers, but I do know when I read this, I am not a smart man, but I know that this book says to me that heaven is about getting to him so that we can glorify him, that we can love him and worship him.
And worship, yep.
So that's the part of it. It's not, the question is not, do you want to go to heaven? Because of course, who doesn't want to go to heaven? The question is, do you want to love Jesus? Do you want to love God? Do you want to? That's the real question, because that's what heaven is.
Yep. And we also have to we have to be ready for the responsibility, I guess, of having that sort of mindset to glorify, right?
Right.
We have to get ourselves ready to just be ready to glorify him. In the chapter we did before, it says that they praised him without ceasing. It was like nonstop, night and day.
Oh yeah. That's
And
where,
and then every time the angels would say something, the elders would get down on the floor and worship. That if that's the picture of heaven that we need to be ready for. Now, again, I don't know what heaven's going to be like. It's going to be sinless, is what I do know, and that everybody is going to love one another. There's not going to be any of the issues we deal with in human form, and that to me is that's the big win, is that you get to worship your Creator in a sinless environment, the original form or environment that He had created for us. Walk with Him.
Yeah,
we get to commune with Him.
Yeah, I'm all for it. So like I said, I think that to wrap up, again, I don't want to do a whole deep dive back into 4, but that's the part that I really want to focus on. Is that's what John was just saw, was this little glimpse into the throne room of God, and that it's about worship.
Yep.
And by the way, that's not about to stop anytime soon.
Right.
So let's go right into 5. Revelation 5, New King James Version. You ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Yes, New King James Version. And I saw the right hand of him who sat on the throne, a scroll written inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. Then I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and to loose its seals?" And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look at it. So I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or to look at it. But one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and to loose its 7 seals." And I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 living creatures and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as though it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Then he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him who sat on the throne. Let's stop there.
Okay.
Because again, I could read all of it, but so much is there, and I think let's deal with with what's happened here, because a lot has happened. So,
and we can talk about the scroll, the visual of the scroll, right, to start with. And the 7 seals.
No. That is
the deed to the universe.
Chop, I was going to say that in itself is 14 podcasts.
Yeah.
What you can talk about here, because I have some notes here where I was going through this, because this scroll. So let us not waste any time.
Okay. Yeah.
And talk about what this scroll means or is, as you were talking about. What you described it as?
Yeah, the deed of the universe. Because this is how deeds were sealed in the times of the Romans. They would put 7 seals on it. Inside was the actual contract. The outside would have like the names of the people that witnessed and what the document meant and all that kind of stuff.
Because the research I had was this was especially prevalent in last will and testaments.
Yep, wills and testaments.
So if this was executing your wishes. This was to be done under all rule. And as you were saying, this is it. This is the. Yep. And what's really funny is I'm a hand talker, and so every time Chop and I have a conversation about that God is, that time is a man-made construct.
Yes.
And that God sees everything,
Yeah.
And so every time I do that, I always do this. And what's amazing is my feeling of the scroll when I did that you know, after all, because the other part of this was there's, I went, do you want to talk about this is the problem with this book, and not a wonderful problem.
A great problem.
Great problem to have is that I went through the whole, man, there's this scroll, there's the book of life, there's these books when you get like Revelation 20, 12 and all these things, and they're talking about. So anyways, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this particular scroll, and especially because who was worthy to open this, because you had to be qualified in order to open one of these scrolls. So even in any court system, in any civilization, you had to have the authorization to open the scroll, let alone to have possession of it.
Right.
So who was worthy? And now
remember, this is at the end of times, right? So nobody ever in the world was worthy enough to touch this scroll or even look at it except Christ through because this is things to come, right? So this means like all the way past everybody's creation. Everybody's here. No one but Christ is worthy enough to touch and open this scroll. He's the only one.
So, all right, I'll go ahead and finish out the reading so we can, I guess, go ahead and deep dive in all the other stuff.
Okay.
You want to do that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so much. So, where were we at? 8?
8, yep.
Now, when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each having a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain, and you have redeemed us to God by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation, and have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth." Then I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing." And every creature which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, I heard them saying, "Blessing and honor and glory and power be to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever." And the 4 living creatures said, "Amen." And the 24 elders fell down and worshiped him who lives forever and ever. So, okay. Let me see. Where can I start here? So we went from there. First off, there's this, the beautiful part of this, going back to referencing, and we've said that reading the Bible is not only, because we're not New Testament guys only. The beautiful part about this is how this ties to the history of the entire book when you go back to Genesis. And so when you go to Genesis 49:9, because there's this reference about the line of Judah, who is worthy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you who's worthy. The line of Judah is worthy. And so when you go to Genesis 49, it says, "Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down. He lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes." And we talked about that's Shiloh is a big word there. "And to him shall be the obedience of the people, binding his donkey to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine and his teeth whiter than milk. So I just wanted to read that part, and you can go back and read that whole part, but that's an identifying the Messiah moment.
Yep.
Right there in that book. And so,
yeah, and the Lion of Judah is referenced a couple of times in the New Testament, where they reference back to that. Also, the root of David, and it's just, to me, it like symbolizes, the lion is a symbol of strength, and the root is a symbol of connectivity. Like everything is joined at through this sacrifice, through this. The Lion of Judah brings everything together, like the root system of a tree or a vine or something like that. And I also think that it's interesting that he says, so the strong, what I thought was great was that it says a strong angel, or however that was referenced. And of course, most people are going to think that that's Gabriel, because
right.
Gabriel actually means strength of God. And so it all ties together. And then when he says the Lion of Judah, the root of David, and then John turns around and sees a slain lamb. So the contrast there of the strength and the unity, and then the sacrifice, all just kind of tie together for me in reading that. And what I found out was that the Jewish people during Passover had to bring the sacrificial lamb into the house 4 days before Passover feast. That slain lamb actually translates to a pet lamb. So, and you're an animal person, right? So imagine having a small animal, or say it was the Passover puppy. How would you deal with having a puppy in your arms for 4 days?
Right.
And then have to sacrifice it for a feast.
Right.
To me, it was like one of the best things that I read in there was how personal that makes the sacrifice to the forgiven. I thought it was fantastic.
I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can go down. Also about this is not that episode, but the tie into Israel of, again, the recognizing, the not recognizing, because again, looking for the lion, the powerful part of the lion, and it being the slain lamb. But then there's this other part of this and this is what ties it to Jesus specifically, is that this slain lamb had the horns and the eyes, and those all represented the 7 horns. Seven is the number of perfection. It's so it means perfect. It means, so it's perfect power, and the eyesight means
perfect vision.
Perfect vision.
He saw everything.
He saw everything. So I think there's the the part of that, as I said, and you're right. He turns around and he recognizes, that it's that it's the lamb. And the other part of this I was telling you about. Okay, this is a perfect part for us to maybe tease a little bit, just a little bit. Because, by the way, we're finished with Revelation 5. After I read all that, I think that's done with chapter 5. No, we're not done discussing it.
Yeah. We're just done reading it.
We're done reading it. So, but what I wanted to say was, so this part about the bowls, so when the Lamb had taken the scroll, and by the way, this weeping thing, I found this beautiful because you're right there. This vision opens up. You see this thing, and then all of a sudden you're about to see, okay, not only has it been revealed to him that there is a God that sits on a throne, and that Jesus is the one who is worthy. Okay, but here is this scroll, and the reason why he was crying before, because the person who opened the scroll wasn't revealed. So let me not confuse the timelines here if we're reading, but or if this is your first time, but I think that's also just a beautiful part of this, about just, again, John wanting to see, like, he's right there to because again, he walked with the Messiah. He truly, I think, believed in this. He was having this vision opened up. and he thought, oh my gosh, here it is. So it's not going to happen. There's not going to be like, there's a deeper part of that talks about, I know you're a big, Bachman, I think is his name.
Oh yeah. Voodoo Bachman.
Yeah. I got on one of his sermons.
Oh yeah. He is a
and
great.
I was listening to one of his, and he was talking about that, just talking about the sort of the passion of John wanting to see that, like.
Well, imagine how you would feel if you had walked with the Messiah, and then you get to that point, and here you are, and it's like nobody's worthy. It's like the failure of humanity at that point, right? It's like nobody, and then you get the word. Just wait, there is one.
Right. And as I said, I didn't quite again finish it up, but I think I did. Was basically the revealing of the fact that, again, looking for this lion, but missing the Messiah in the first time. Because, and the reason why I say this is because, wait, hold on. I'm getting way ahead of myself, because I wanted to talk about the bowls, because
the incense, yeah.
Right. Because I wanted to tease this. This is why this is really hard. This is going to take some ADHD medication or something for me. But when the moment that the lamb takes the scroll, and there's all this, there's more worship, and there's this incense and these bowls, and it talks about the prayers of the saints. Believe it or not, we're the saints. The other part of this is trying to wrap your mind around how you're going to be reigning on the earth and be the priests of the reign. Yeah. I mean, this is all mind-blowing stuff.
Well, I mean, Christ is the priest, right? Of the lineage of Melchizedek. So the great priest, right. And then we become co-heirs with Christ. So how could we not be? Priest also?
It's just, again, it's totally mind-blowing. So, anyways, so there's this the part about the prayers is we're going to do some extra episodes of things like prayer and love and truth. I think we had a couple more, just some side episodes of like, and these are all from a biblical sense. These are all, things as we talk about. But we're going to kind of start throwing those in there. But this particular part, and prayer is going to be one of them. And I think we decided maybe that was going to be one.
We'll start with that one. Yeah.
We'll start with that one. And then, so that'll be in a couple more episodes going forward. We don't know when. This is a super micro tease. This is like the Easter egg inside the Easter egg inside the Easter egg.
You'll be sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for it to drop.
It's episode 74, so look for it around like episode 90.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
We don't know.
It won't be that long. But there's something. Look, prayer is important, and I know it's one of these things that's really difficult for a lot of people, and I think that's one of the reasons why we want to talk about it. Because think about this: we are those saints. Those prayers are our prayers. So even though you think some unanswered prayer, which, again, even Garth Brooks said like some of those unanswered prayers might not be, who knows? I don't know. But one thing that they're not is not heard or kept, because it sounds to me like if you're a believer, every one of those prayers is kept. And I think this is why, again, he wants us to choose him and choose to love him, because he loves these prayers. Because all of those little conversations, because again, look, all I've got is my feeble human brain. But think about it this way. Think about, if all of our conversations, our prayers were like letters, love letters to him, and he kept every one of them. And you found out, it's amazing to think that those things are right there, and they're there to worship him. Because again, as amazing as it is for you to kind of feel that love, it all kind of goes back to him. Because
what if they're kept as an instruction for you when you get there, so that you can understand why these were answered and these were not.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah,
at that
you're
point,
right.
you have the knowledge of how all of it was based off of his love and for his
Yes.
glory is why it was done the way it was done.
Because it says and here's the other part of this. So again, if you think it's only your people,
Oh, no.
it says right here, you have redeemed us to God by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation, and have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth. That is talking about the body of Christ, and that is saying out of every tribe and out of every tongue, which seems like that's a pretty diverse body of Christ.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, this is the culmination of the grafting in of everyone into the vine of Israel, which is where it all started. This is the culmination of that. Every tribe, every tongue, every nation, nobody's excluded. And if anybody preaches that there is an excluded person or people, that would be some false teaching, I would think.
There is, and it's funny, I've got so many notes that I don't even know if I've gotten to any of them. But here's the thing, and so the grenade that I tried to drop on Chop today was, how much of this do we get to see or do we don't get to see? And again, I don't know how much you're going to see. And again, I don't know. I'm saying that not knowing, because what is interesting about this is it says right here. Now I'm saying this is the truth, right?
Yeah.
Says here, every creature on the earth and under the earth, right? And in the heaven, all of them praised. That's what it says right here.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but that would mean everybody that you know. This would mean the people. Now, if I'm not mistaken, help me with this answer. This would mean the people that even say, "Oh, that Jesus mess." Because it says every creature on the earth and under the earth and on the heavens. Am I wrong in saying that? This is not everybody?
That's how you would have to.
Am I to take that literally? Or is this just the believers? Help me with this.
Well,
because they say every knee shall bend, every head shall bow, right?
Yes.
Is this one of those moments right here when it says every creature in the heavens and on the earth and under the earth and in the sea, right?
So I do believe that there will be a time where everybody realizes that Christ is King. Now, that doesn't mean everybody will still accept it. And at that moment, when everybody has the realization, even though they reject it, at that moment they have to give him praise that he is.
But here's what I'm saying, and I know we're building up to this, that we're not going to be able to fit all this into one thing. But here's what I'm saying. Because people who talk about how's it going to go down, how's this whole end of the world, as they call it, apocalypse, which by the way means revealing of the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, these are, we're getting ready to hit the four horsemen of the
Well, wait, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. That's what I'm saying. So would you not say, is that not a moment? Because some people say before the Great Tribulation, everybody will be real. Like, hey, guess what? No, it's real. And here it comes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is this that moment? Or are we to take this in that literal moment? Like as we read it here in Revelation 4, that right before we talk about, because we're getting ready to talk about these four horsemen. This is, and by the way, so we're getting ready, the Great Tribulation is about to take place right now.
Right.
Is this that moment?
When these seals start popping,
right,
that is the beginning of the judgment, the beginning of tribulation. The way I understand it. And right before that, it does speak about a revival, an upswing in belief and God. And then we see that first guy on the horse kind of mess things up. But yes, I can see that point where at some point there will be such a revival for belief in God that at that moment there may be man, just to think of the entire world believing in God though would be that. I mean,
Right.
to me, how do you go from that to what we're getting ready to?
Again,
I'm with you. I don't know. The discussion is there though because it says every creature, right?
Every creature
in heaven, on the earth, under the earth, in the sea.
Right. So again, as I said, and we are. This is why we say we are just two ordinary men exploring this. But as we're here in 4, I mean, this is the moment, and yes, as we're about to close down this particular episode, the Lamb Jesus is about to open up these scrolls, and I mean, I had a bunch of Old Testament, basically some Old Testament scriptures that would also point to this being the Messiah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, and so I don't know how much that would help or not help. So I'm just going to just kind of move on to that, or move away from that. And just as we kind of wrapping up, I kind of finished the discussion about just again, I don't know what is going to, or what time. And this is why when we talk about that scroll, when I use that description of, where I'm like rolling out, because we're like, well, time is a man-made construct.
Right.
And so when I see God looking at time, I feel like he's got like this thing where he can spread out and see it all. He's
exactly.
not restricted by, the time and us having to wait. He kind of sees the beginning and the end all at one time.
It's hard for us to think outside of a time-based structure because that's all we've known.
And so as we're opening up, this scroll, this is also, so take that into your, like, everybody soak that in. That alone is enough to, like, okay, whoa, guys. I'm thinking about somebody who's listening to this early in the morning, and maybe you haven't had enough coffee yet, and you're like, whoa, non-linear time. Like, what's happening here? So yes, I get that, but at the same time, transfer that into the idea of, as this rolls out and we're about to read this, I don't know where or what we're going to see, not going to see, going to be pulled up, not going to be pulled up, pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, mid-tribulation. I'm hoping, and it's really funny because anytime I have a conversation with somebody about the podcast and we're talking about Revelation, that's the first thing they want to ask me. Do you think it's pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation? Right. And I'm like, first off, while I'm doing this, I always like to fresh eye everything as we're going through the journey. I was like, let me get through this whole thing. But at the same time, I go back to the same thing. It doesn't matter. Set your heart where it needs to be set. And you're also going to have to realize, because I kind of talked about this, I think, on one of the last few podcasts, at some point, you're going to be pushed and asked to compromise your belief system, and in order to function. I don't know when that'll happen, and it might not happen in my lifetime. I may perish before this happens, but based on what we see here in this book in later times, is if you go through this, you may have to live through a time where you're going to have to make a decision.
Yes.
And so, as I said, get your heart straight, say your principles, and as I said, I'm not asking,
stick to that. Yeah,
right, and stick to that. And listen, I'm not. Am I asking you to doomsday prepare? No, but you take whatever you want to take from those situations. I'm just telling you.
Well, what we're saying is just put your belief in God, and just follow that instruction.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it plainly says later on in this book, it's going to say, anyone with the mark of the beast is out.
Yes.
So we should all be prepared. And I don't know that it's a physical mark or I'm not sure how it's going to look.
I have no idea. And again,
but be diligent. Don't be caught unaware.
And here's the other thing that I want us to do. This is the very important thing. I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad this is where we are, because it's so easy for us to start pointing things now. Because trust me, I watch feed enough media to see stuff, and it makes everybody feel like. But remind yourself that every generation feels this. Your grandparents felt that. Their great grandparents felt that. The people in the first century that were written these things to felt that the end of the world was happening. So at whatever point you've lived in, most people felt like we could point the finger here. This could mean that. That could mean that. And I get it. Yes, you can. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do that here.
Right.
Because I can't tell you whether that's happening right now or whether that's going to happen 1,000 years from now.
Well,
it's already happening.
We can say that we live in a time where a lot of this stuff is possible.
Very much so.
So we are in that era where any of this could possibly happen, but we don't.
Yes.
I don't think any of us can point to a time or a person or a date and say that's the golden goose.
Look, I don't own enough aluminum foil to make hats. But let me just tell you, I am old enough and
wise enough,
wise enough or crazy enough to say I feel a lot of the same. Like, yes, it wouldn't shock me if these were the times we're about to go into, but I also can't stand by that, and I don't want anybody to live on the edge of that, because that's not what God calls you to do. He calls you to live in peace, and that's the beauty of it. When you go back and read some of these other things, that's the beauty of, because we've focused on a lot of really basic stuff. We went from Mark to Genesis to Revelation. These are the bare bones and good stuff. First off, love this stuff.
Yes.
But when you get back into it, it's like in between the space of Adam and Eve and whose fault you want to blame on who bit the apple, whatever. The truth of the matter is, all of that, all the way to the end of Jesus coming back, in between all that, we know things happen. But remember, like Paul and Silas were in a prison, and they didn't seem to be fazed or bothered by it. And again, I know I'm not Paul or Silas, but I think you and I have experienced enough where you've gone through some tough stuff where you've noticed the difference in when you've been in the Word and you've been sort of in the walk with Jesus, and you've had to go through tough stuff, and you didn't have it, and you've gone through stuff, and the whole difference of how you handled it and how you acted.
It just really gives you a sense of ease. If you realize that you are doing your very best to follow what God has put in front of you and are willing to just give it to Him, let whatever His will be, and then it's almost a freeing or a calming effect on your life.
It's the best. So, as I said, we're not going to appropriate this person's the so-and-so, that person's the so-and-so.
I don't know who the beast is or the dragon.
I absolutely don't.
Yeah.
I do know this. We did not get a chance to talk about this, but we do have interesting and strong opinions about UFOs and aliens.
Oh, that could be a special side note.
And absolutely could be a side note. But listen, here's what I'll tell you. No matter what, if anything, including UFOs and aliens, tries to change the word of God, don't trust it.
Yes.
There's nothing. You should be very wary of it. I mean, and again,
Satan's plan is to deceive you into not believing in God. So just be aware of that.
So as I said, I don't own enough aluminum foil to make enough hats to be that way, but listen, I do know this. I can't run from it because again, this isn't, before we close this down, this isn't fringe media reporting anymore. Like this is and so if you're asking why I would think, is this the end times? When I start seeing UFO things,
Yeah.
when you and I've lived through a time when it was.
I mean, you were a kook if you thought there was.
Oh, you absolutely were. You were absolutely a kook. And it was one of the things, I was riding, I was hanging out with my daughter, and she's, and I know we got to close this down. She's in school, and we were talking about, because she's learning things in school, and at the time she's learning these things at her university, she's also, as I was telling her, I was like, and that stuff's this is the up to date new stuff. And I remind her, I was like, 10 years from now, if you go back to that same university, they'll be like, oh, that was garbage. We were wrong about that stuff. Right. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, that happens all the time.
All the time. Please remind yourself. And this is not me trying to knock universities or anything, but it is always evolving. Yes. And so you have to be careful with the knowledge. Is it knowledge? Is it?
It might be the knowledge of the time.
Right. Or where's the source? I think that's always a good one. We should probably close with that. But so 75, we're going to get into opening these seals, right?
We're going to start popping some seals.
That sounds like if you did like a Christian hip hop thing, it could be like pop them seals. Is that inappropriate?
I don't know. I'm not.
I feel like my grandma, if she heard me say that, like the lamb popping them seals, I would probably get popped in the face. I think that's what would happen. Let me say a prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for your amazing grace and mercy and love. We thank you for the opportunity to share your word. And we just ask for your guidance, and we ask for your light to be shined and your glory to be shown. And we thank you for all things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, got lost in there. We'll see you. Episode 75 is coming up.
Take care.
Bye.